Today I'm going to talk about medication, and I'm not a doctor, and if that ticks you off that who the heck do I think I am to talk about medications when I'm not a doctor, that's fine. Just go ahead and click it off and go to the next person. But what I'm going to say is absolutely makes perfect logical sense. Avoidant personality disorder means that you have a something that is not the norm with your personality, and there are no medications that can alter that. No medication can change your personality, thank goodness, because otherwise this world would be absolutely freaky and we would have a bunch of Stepford wives and people would be able to slip you a drink, slip it in your drink the way they do with roofies, and your entire personality would be different. You wouldn't be who you are, and that's just wrong, and I'm really glad that they have no medication to change your personality, even though having a personality disorder sucks. Now, the personality disorder, of course, leads to people being isolated, people who want to be with other people to be very isolated. And so that can lead to depression. Now, if you are depressed for cause, if you are depressed because there's something in your life that is just not working, you can't medicate yourself into believing that it's working for you. If you are being abused, just taking a pill is not going to make that abuse go away. And so if you have depression because of your isolation or abuse, antidepressants will not work on it. Not work at all. Now, you could also have a brain chemical imbalance, which also causes depression. And you could be avoidant, and you could have a brain chemical imbalance, depression, and you could take antibiotics. You could take antidepressants, and that could work for you because you don't also have depression due to being isolated or being abused. So there are people, I would recommend, which of course this is where I'm going to get in trouble, but basically what I'd recommend is for people to try everything. Try everything. Because you never know. Yes, you might have avoidant personality disorder and you might be depressed because of the isolation, but you don't know for sure until you've tried it that you might also have something that responds to medication. So don't give up on yourself just because you have this diagnosis, which is untreatable with medication, because you might have a comorbid thing. You might have social anxiety, which is a form of anxiety, and there are anti-anxiety medications that could help that and could make your experience of avoidance a lot better. Then there's also mood stabilizers. And if you're really affected by it, then definitely you can give those a shot. The things with a mood stabilizer to keep in mind is they will knock off the worst of the lows, but it will also keep you from feeling the highs. Again, if you are so low, then try it. It might work for you. It might be good enough. You might not miss the highs, or it might be affect them only subtly. I mean, that's the thing to keep in mind, though. I would definitely pay attention. I mean, and if you take medications, to watch that you don't have personality change, because that can happen, and it's not because it's actually affected your personality permanently. It's because you're basically so drugged that you're a zombie. So or it could be that it's so annoying and agitating to your system that you become like a monster. Just because, like there are certain drugs that literally cause your insides to shake and quake, and you've got this permanent quiver, and it just drives you nuts. And And it doesn't affect everybody that way. It's one of these weird side effects, but I know people that that's happened to, and it's not good, and it literally drives them out of their mind because they're shaking and quaking all the time, and, you know, it's awful. So watch the side effects. I mean, there are side effects that are really good. There's antidepressants that work as sleep aids, basically. And maybe that you're not really affected by the antidepressant part, but if you can't sleep because you're depressed, these things make you sleep. Hey, all in all, it's gonna work out better for you. So basically, if you're doing medications for avoidant personality disorder, don't expect them to work the way you're told that they're going to work, because that's not, you know, it's basically, you know, they design these things and use them for people that are in sort of like the normal box, and avoidant people are not normal. So be very aware. Don't take them at face value of they're going to work this certain way, but sort of cut and paste them, and if something works for you, use it. So those are like traditional medications, and there are self-medication techniques. For instance, drinking comes up a lot, and now I'm not a teetotaler. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. And for me, and this is going to sound pathetic, but I'm going to give it to you straight. For me, I don't drink in public. I don't drink in public because I don't want to worry that I've done something to humiliate myself that I'll be judged for. So I don't drink in public. So even more sad and pathetic. And I don't drink a lot, but I drink by myself, totally isolated if I drink. And I do it as a distraction. I do it to basically kill time, where I don't have to think about something that's super stressing me out. Which is not really a nice way of living, but hey, there we go. So, in a nutshell, all of the things that they say about drinking and how it's supposed to be a social sort of lubricant or whatever, apparently the beer goggles do actually exist, and they've just done a study that proves it. But I mean, seriously, if you want to go out and get, you know, affected by what you're drinking to the point where you can't really accurately judge somebody, and then you maybe get stuck with them, because, you know, avoidant people, once they've sort of latched on to somebody, it's really hard for them to get rid of them. So you might think in your drunken state that you found somebody great, and it turns out that they are not anything like what you thought. And I hear that a lot, you know, that avoidant people are basically recreating their abusive childhood with their new spouse. Yuck. So again, you know, it's used for one thing in the world. I mean, I can totally see that people would use alcohol to sort of numb avoidance, and then they can go out and be around people when they want to be around people. They can't be around people because they're avoidant. And that's more social anxiety than avoidance, but still. That I'd recommend as much. I mean, beside the fact that it's so unhealthy for you, I'd recommend trying to avoid. I'm not judging people if they drink. I'm just saying, you know, it's not going to help you get where you want to be. Not really. It might have a false promise that it might help you find somebody and connect with people, but it's not going to be real, and it generally blows up in your face. And again, I drink myself, but there we go. But again, like I said, what I use it for is to basically fill time when I have to get from here to there, and it's just like an expanse of time where I will be ruminating and dwelling on some terrible thing, which is not a good habit, you know. And it's not like I get bombed either, you know, but still, not a good habit. So there's that. Then there is other drugs. Marijuana. I hear a lot of people that use it who are avoidant, and I think it's the exact same effect. Because I don't think it works the same way. I've never heard of somebody who was avoidant that suddenly became boisterous and joyous and happy and high on marijuana. Now, I could be wrong, but I think it's the same thing. I think that it just doesn't work the same way for avoidant people as it does for the general population. And then harder drugs, actually, I have had very extremely tiny little experience. I don't know that I've ever talked to an avoidant person. I mean, obviously they must exist, that used harder drugs. And I think, again, because that one you need to be more social. I mean, you've got to get a dealer and you've got to trust them. You've got to be able to have a job that you can afford it. And usually avoidant people are underemployed. That was actually, they've changed the diagnostic criteria, but that used to be one of the diagnostic criteria of avoidance, was that you were underemployed. So I think that circumstances keep people from using harder drugs, which is probably a good thing, because again, if no other drugs, either, you know, doctor prescribed or self-prescribed or whatever, self-taken, if they don't work for avoidant people the way they work for other people, then why would the harder stuff work for them too? So it doesn't really work. But so there, I've basically gone through, I mean, I know it's really pretentious of me to put this out there, but it comes up a lot. People want a magic pill. They want something that will just suddenly make everything better. And it does not exist, because again, this is your personality. This is changing who you are. I mean, my understanding is that even if you have a lobotomy, that it's not going to affect the avoidant personality disorder in a positive way. So there really isn't anything you can do to fix your brain and to put chemicals in your body to fix that. But again, I mean, there's secondary things. So it won't affect really the avoidant personality disorder per se, but it could affect the depression, it could affect your anxiety, and there's lots of things that you can do and use that it's not what people primarily use these things for, even alcohol and etc. But there's this secondary effect that might be useful to you. So you know, on the one hand, like I've said, I think that people, to a degree, should try everything, because you never know. There might be something that works for you. I mean, very, very little works for me. The only thing that really works for me, which kind of makes me sick because I hate it, is if I go to the gym and work out every day. Every single day. And I'm not very good at it, to say the least, but there's something, and then I don't get an endorphin rush, but it does sort of chill me out, if that makes any sense, and I sort of feel like I've done something I'm supposed to do, so it makes me feel better. Bile. It's the only thing that works for me, but and I'm not really encouraging people to go out and do drugs, etc. And I'm not encouraging people to go to the doctor and say, give me everything. But, you know, try new things, because there's always going to be something that's going to make it sort of more manageable and easier to live with this stuff. Just, again, don't expect it to react with you the way it's supposed to react with everybody else, because that just doesn't happen.